So in the javelin, we have the approach, where we have the linear approach, where we're trying to gain speed on the runway. Then we have the crossovers, or the acyclical approach, where we're trying to create range in the throw and maintain that speed into the delivery. And then we have the penultimate step into the block, where we try and transfer all that speed from the runway into the javelin, and we try and create separation between our upper and lower body to create that stretch and that range in the throw. And then of course we have the delivery, where we're trying to release the javelin as fast as possible through the optimum angle of release. So the fundamentals of the javelin are that we want to have the longest possible pull we can, so we have as long as possible to impart speed and power into the throw, and we need to have a strong base of support that allow us to create a stable base to throw from, but also allow us to impart our speed from the runway into the throw. So we'll start with how we create that range in the throw, and our basic position is we need to have this hand just slightly above shoulder height, and we want the arm to be as long as possible without locking out the elbow. By keeping it slightly bent but high, it gives us that freedom in this arm to do what we need to do in the delivery. If we lock that elbow out, we can't bend that arm when we want to throw. So we're going to have it nice and high at the back. We're going to have it almost straight. We call it athletically straight, where there's a slight relaxation in the elbow, but generally it's high and it's long at the back. So from here, we can move into our power position with the feet that give us that strong base of support. So we want to have that front foot, again, almost straight, athletically straight, where we can stop the movement, and we're going to have nice wide feet where we can bend the back leg to add extra range to the throw. Now from here, we need to be able to turn our hips to the front, and when our hips are pointing in the direction of the throw, we're ready to deliver. So our hips are going to steer the direction of the throw. But also, as we turn our hips to the front, it's going to create a stretch through our chest, and we can use that stretch to add extra speed to the delivery. To achieve this, we need to move our rear foot slightly forwards, and that gives us that freedom in the hip to turn all the way to the front. We have our feet the other way around. I can only turn my hips to point in this direction, in which case the throw is going to go in this direction. So we're going to have that wide stance with our feet, the front leg almost straight, and we move the rear leg forwards only half a foot, and from here we can reach up and back with the javelin, loading the rear leg to get that extra range in the throw, and we should see that the javelin starts to align with the direction of our throw. So now that we've got our basic standing throw in place, it's time to look at the grip. And there's two main grips that we're going to see. The first one is probably the better known V grip, where we take our two fingers, we slide them down the javelin until we meet the binding, and this gives us a really nice strong grip on the binding. The issue with the V grip is that it doesn't really allow us any freedom in the shoulder when we're throwing, and that means lots of our athletes will find that they end up pulling under the javelin and the tip goes up in the air, and it's difficult for us to get that tip down landing. Whereas the traditional grip, where we take our thumb and forefinger and slide those down the javelin till we meet the binding, it gives us the same grip and pull on the javelin, but we can wrap our fingers around the javelin, and it gives us now that freedom to rotate our shoulder in, and this is going to help us when we come to the delivery. Having the traditional grip also allows me to rotate my hand and my wrist in, and this means I can flick my wrist during the delivery and impart some spin onto the javelin, and this spin is going to help with our flight and help us to get that tip down landing. So the traditional grip, we have our thumb and forefinger sliding down the javelin till we meet the binding, and we want to make a loose grip around the javelin with the rest of our fingers. Now we should have a small gap in here between our hand and the javelin, so that we have a relaxed grip to do that flick at the end of the throw, and that relaxed grip also allows me to rotate my hand and rotate my shoulder in the delivery. So when we come back to our standing throw, we're going to use our traditional grip, have that hand nice and high at the back and long at the back with that athletically straight arm. We're going to come into our standing throw position with that rear foot slightly forward and the front leg almost straight, And then from here, we're going to turn our little finger on top of the javelin. That's going to rotate our armpit upwards, and it's going to lock that javelin in place on our forehead. So we want to have that javelin just over our eye, sitting on our eyebrow. As we come back into our loading the rear leg, we'll see the javelin start to align with the direction of the throw, and we're going to lift our free arm up to create balance in this position. From here, when we want to deliver, we simply turn our hips to the front, keeping that block in place, and we pull right over our shoulder to release. Now, when we want to add speed to our delivery, we're going to try and have this stretch for our hip, a stretch for our chest, and then a fast and low release on the javelin. Our release angle is closer to 30 to 40 degrees than it is 45 degrees plus. So we're aiming for a low and fast delivery. So from our position here, we've got our hand rotated in to get our javelin in position, to open our chest. We want to turn our hips to the front, and then we lift our chest to create that stretch. And now as we deliver low and hard, we're going to rotate our hand outwards. So we go from that fingers up to fingers down position, and that's going to add some spin onto our javelin in the delivery.